Music is the spark of life, part of your soul. Every time we listen to it, it brings back memories, it jars up new ones. Music is always incredible. My name is Gary Dean, and this is Eye Opener Society. I want everybody to check out Appalachian Root Works. You can find them on Appalachian Root Works, Rooted in Ruins. Find them on the website, AppalachianRootworks.com. Carly and Carla, they're fantastic people. This is a full service metaphysical shop. If you can't find it there, then it doesn't exist. You can reach out to them on the website, and you could also hear their podcast Without a Candle, released every Friday on all podcast platforms. So today we're talking about music, a little stretch, a little bit something different. But you know what? When it comes to spirituality, music fits right into this whole gamut. And Lizzie and I are here to talk about it. And I think, Lizzie, music. Well, let me start with you with this. What does music mean to you?
Music is just part of the art of life, kind of to tie into everything that we're talking about. Whereas, like, I'm coming from a perspective where life is about connection and creation. Music is one beautiful way that people create and connect together. Because, like you said, it can take you back to a moment in time. There's so many beautiful cosmic messages in people's songs. There's just like the list of things you can do with it just goes on and on. And yeah, I love music. I probably play it too much. I'm playing it all the time.
Yeah, music touches everybody in a different way. And when it comes to spirituality, we could talk about alchemy. Music can alchemize any situation. If you're in a really down, depressed state and you keep listening to down, depressing music, it's going to keep that state of mind right there. Once you turn the tempo up and the beats start really rocking, and then you start listening to some more, upbeat songs, that's your transmutation, the alchemizing the situation. Suddenly, everything is going to seem so much different once you change the type of music. So we can relate this spiritually.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like to do. I like to start, like, if I'm really feeling my feelings, I like to start with the song that just feels like it really captures it, where you kind of want to like spiral into it a little bit. And instead of spiraling and focusing and thinking, you just like relax your body and just let all the emotions flow. And then you kind of either, yeah, step up to something to where you're kind of ending the music session with something upbeat and exciting and inspiring for the future. And I think that's just a great way to do it. Just kind of takes your emotion through like a full arc and gives you a new opportunity to feel something different.
Yeah, I remember a concert I went to. I seen Sully Erna. He's from Godsmack, and he does his own solo work, which I think is absolutely fantastic. He does such a wide range of music. And at the beginning of a show, he basically explained just how simple music is. It's nothing more than a vibration. And that vibration, all you got to do is change it to get the different notes and the tones and all. That's all you got to do. So, again, spirituality, that's what we work with. We work with these vibrations that are within us. So, when the music hits right, it's because it's vibrating right along with us. And all we got to do is change the station if a song doesn't work in that moment, and it works so much better for us. That's an amazing analogy that he gave, and it always stuck with me. And I say, yeah, for sure. Music is nothing more than vibrations, just like we are.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if you get like a big crowd of people all like rocking and dancing and singing, I've seen you can alchemize as like a group. I don't know if you because you don't have kids. I don't know if you saw the whole K-pop Demon Hunter thing that came out.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I never watched the movie. I don't know much about it, but I listened to a lot of the soundtrack because I went to this event for kids. It was a STEM event, but an accidental concert popped up in the corner. And it was really, really beautiful, actually, because this is actually a perfect example. The first time the girl came up and she danced, she was like kind of shy. And the moment she noticed that the people were recording, because it's an event, you know what I mean? She just like backed out. And then she came up a little bit later, and all these kids are obsessed with this soundtrack because it's what's newly come out, you know what I mean? So the next time she comes up, she's got like a couple of friends with her and they're like a little bit more confident. You know, they're doing like I guess the dance from the movie and they're feeling a little cooler, right? And then the next time it was like more and more until it was like this big crowd of people and it was like the energy and the emotion that was coming off these like 30 to 50 kids was just like it was beautiful. It was beautiful to witness.
That is, that sounds really beautiful. And it's no different. You go to concerts and you get the emotion from the crowd. You know, no matter what genre you're listening to, you are immersed in that situation. And much like the feelings that we have, if we have feelings of peace and love, and we can spread that just by being around other people and it moves from person to person, music amplifies that. It moves it faster and further. Now,
Yeah.
oh, that's okay. If you want to jump in there, go for it.
Finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was the thing now though, when it comes to music, me personally, I don't know, this last decade or so, I really haven't listened to music. And it's the furthest thing from my mind. Most of my music began in the 80s. And back in the 80s, it didn't matter your playlist. You could have John Denver and Slayer on the same playlist and nobody cared. All of a sudden, I think in the last 10 years, music has really fizzled out. There's no more true emotion in it. Maybe a few bands here and there. And I don't get the same type of emotion like from the 70s, the 80s, even through the 90s grunge, and even the earlier 2000s. It just kind of faded away, I would say, maybe 2010. And so I haven't really listened that much. And I will say that I try finding more of these unknown bands, local bands, ones that are trying to change things up, trying to get that true, authentic sound and putting that emotion back in. Because what do we have now? Most of these bands that I grew up on, they're all in their 80s, and some of them retired, and then they're coming out of retirement. They don't have the same energy that they did when they were 20. And I don't blame, I mean, I admire them for getting up there and doing what they're doing, but most of them, their voices are shot. They can no longer sing or carry a tune, depending who you're listening to. There are a couple of guys that can really still rock out, but I think it's falling flat now. I miss the freaking 80s when everything had a meaning to it, no matter what genre you were listening to. There was something involved in the 80s, and I don't know if you agree with me on this.
Oh, I have so much to say. Let me see if I can pull something together. Okay. So the 80s, everything about the 80s, from their hair, their makeup, their attitude, the music, no matter the genre music, it was all a subtle rebellion, same as like the 20s. Everything was just what you could do that would just slightly piss the older generation off. And that breeds beautiful art when you're in a system of oppression. But then after the 80s, it tailored off because it became accepted, right? The 90s was kind of like the accepted 80s, and that was really beautiful, but it changes the tone of all of it. Oh, see, I lost my train of thought. I had too many opinions here. No, I got too
Yep,
excited.
that's fine. All right. Well, I'll start talking a little bit more about the 80s. You see, that's when I started really getting involved because growing up, listen, I'm from the Bronx, New York, but I used to listen to like outlaw country. That was my thing when I was a younger kid. And then once I got into middle school, and then I was introduced into the heavy metal scene, and that was it. Changed my life forever, man. That's all I ever wanted. And then we went from that 80s heavy metal to more of the glam rock, and then it started to get some more of the underground. I started getting involved in that underground stuff, like the Anthrax and Metallica when they were first starting. You know, you're getting that harder, heavier, and everybody wanted to be faster, and nobody wanted to be posers anymore, you know? And then we also had a little bit of a blend of that punk rock that was going on in there. So I was introduced to a lot of this, and it really set the soundtrack for most of my childhood, a lot of these bands and a lot of this music. And I loved it. And like I say, I think grunge, once it took over, I think we needed that. We needed that change because, like you said, I think we became very mainstream. Even punk rock became very mainstream too, as well, towards the later 80s.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. Once it became accepted, it then just got eaten into capitalism. Right. And so now even rock, even all of these like freedom of expression things were done through the lens of capitalism, which frames it into mainstream. And art became such a way, the local band is such a good way to find more authentic music because a lot of the times, at least in previous decades, it was hard to find anything that somebody authentically made because it had to go through so many like teams of producers, teams of like, you know what I mean, in order to be accepted by the record labels. And same with like the art that you saw. It had you kind of almost had to like know somebody to get your art up in a gallery unless you were going to pay $20,000 to do it, which again, you know what I mean? And so I think right now we're in a transitional period where people are really coming to that. And I actually think AI pushes this because now on some of the streaming services like Spotify, you can, if you're just listening to the suggested playlist, you're likely finding AI bands you don't know are AI. And they're just being absorbed into it. If you're not listening for that raw emotion, because to my knowledge, AI can't do that, but you could put it on the AI song, like if you really resonated with it for sure. And I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with it. Maybe there is. That's like a whole other thing. That's people's own business. But my point is that a lot of people now aren't going through the record labels. They themselves are also just putting it on Spotify, which means they don't have teams and teams of people. And maybe they don't get their song out in front of millions of people within the first year, but they're growing and learning something completely different than the previous generations were able to do. Back then, you were stuck in the garage. If you were that raw, authentic, couldn't get approved by these teams of people, you were a garage band and you were going to stay there. But now you can get on TikTok and you can show people your music and that, you know what I mean? And so we are starting to get very, a very different kind of music than we used to.
We do. And one of the wonderful things, like I said, like you're pointing out how, yeah, we have teams and teams and all directors. And basically, it's what they're doing is they're taking the raw energy that formed as that garage band, and then they're just kind of watering it down for the capitalistic algorithm of life. And what I really enjoy, honestly, is that garage band, that raw sound with the mistakes. You know, to me, that is fucking music. I'm telling you, that's where it really is. I miss that. And that's why I like listening to. And now to change kind of the subject a little bit as far as music goes, we have something horrible happening. And I see this every time I'm reading about a band, no matter who the band is, like on Facebook or whatever. Oh, they have a new song. Oh, they're back on the road or this. Hundreds and hundreds of negative comments on every damn thing. You don't see anybody just saying, hey, man, it's great to see them back. Hey, that was a halfway decent song. Or, that song didn't really, it's all, I hated it. They suck. They did. It's never anything positive because, again, what happens now? This day and age, everybody's worried about the gatekeeping and, oh, it's only my music. Just the music I listen to is the only thing that's going to be out there. And that's the only thing I'm going to listen to. And I don't care about anything else. And I also think people just have this thing like, okay, maybe you don't like the band, but where's your band? Did your band sell out, 3 or 4 arenas? These bands have the background. You either like them or you don't. That's what and it's much like this show. We could reach 6 or 7 people a day. No big deal because we don't have a team of people behind us pushing this forward because we are raw, we're authentic, and we're putting out what we feel works. People are going to like us or people are not going to like us. This is the same thing with music today.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually think the if everybody just does that, learns to quit editing themselves in casual conversation, in the art they put into the world, whatever that be, podcast, painting, music, energy work. You know what I mean? Whatever it is that you're doing, I think if people just get more raw, more themselves, I think everything is just gonna like little fairy godmother. I really have this belief that if everybody was just their real raw self, anything that needs to be worked out, which is rarely as much as people think, automatically does. And we all fit together like these little puzzle pieces. And that's how communities are supposed to build. But we're stuck in this place where, like, you're supposed to be able to do it all yourself within a set system. And then you're supposed to find someone else who can do it all themselves in that system and then team up and pick one of your guys' dreams and, like, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like how everything is but like that's just it doesn't work for people where we don't like that. That's why the system's crumbling, is because even though people are going through it with their actions, their energy is not behind it. They don't believe in the system anymore. That's why it just has to crumble and something's new is going to be built. And I think if we're all real about it and just learn out loud, get ugly if you have to, like it's fine, we'll actually build something just so beautiful that actually works for everybody. But if we keep trying to be perfect and we try to build the perfect world and fix the system perfectly, like we don't even know enough to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like we've got to like see what everybody's got to offer. Everybody's stuck at their 9 to 5. They're not able to create. They're not able to do what they came here to do.
And on that note, and especially with the music thing, try and put this into words. Whatever music you like, whatever music you enjoy, that's your space. And people need to respect that space. At that same time, the person next to you may be listening to a whole different brand of music, a whole different genre, one that you don't like, but that's their space. And once we start recognizing we all have these little spaces, the thing is, what we have in common is the music, regardless of what type of music it is, what genre it is. We have the music, and the music is what's supporting everything. It is the foundation for everybody. We can relate it to food. When we go into different cultures, food is the ultimate communication, even when you can't speak the same language. Sharing of food is like the ultimate welcoming into a community. Sharing your music is the ultimate way into another person's world, because music creates that world for that person. And when you hear the music that they're listening to, you get a good idea of what that person's all about.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was having so much fun sharing music back and forth with you. You know, we're all talking about what's going on in our world and then sending music and we're like, ah, yeah, that is their vibe. That is what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and it's true. Yeah, I did. I listened to some of those songs and I said, okay, well, this is probably what Lizzie is listening to right now. And this is Lizzie being Lizzie in her world. You get that glimpse into it. And that's the beauty of music. And that's the spiritual connection of music. And we need to recognize it a little bit more. And we need to cut the gatekeeping, and we need to cut the comments. And we just need to just respect that everybody has an ounce of talent somewhere. And all we need to do is encourage that person, just like they could turn around and encourage you.
Yeah, and I think we need to chill a little bit on what we don't like in the world. Like, if you really don't like it, just don't look at it. Don't listen to it. Walk away. But I also challenge you to explore why. Because really, if you didn't have an emotional charge against it, then it wouldn't bother you. You just either would tune it out or whatever. You know what I mean? But if you've got a piece of art or music or a person that's like, you know, there's an emotional charge. And I see this a lot with people, like they just like can't stand country music or they can't stand you know what I mean, whatever it is. And it's just like it's kind of interesting because I wonder what emotions they have wrapped up in that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like, how is it bothering you so much? I get it. There's just certain things you just don't vibe with. The sound just doesn't work for you. And there's hundreds of bands that I listen to, but they have some songs where I say, wow, that's just a crappy song. It just doesn't sound right. And these are normal, but people are taking it to their egos, because I don't like this. Nobody else should. Let me tell the whole world how much I hate this. Where is that charge coming from?
You're like, oh, turn it off. I hate this. Change the station. Like, respect. Okay, fine. You know, you don't have to listen to it, but also, why? Why does
Hmm.
that bother you so much?
Yeah, yeah. We've had like, especially when I was in middle school, it was always, during that time, rap and hip hop was just starting to form. It was in its infancy. And there was always the metalheads and then the hip hop, and there was always that divide, but it was a healthy one because we still supported a lot of that. And even Anthrax, they came out with the songs with what's his name? Flavor Flav. And they merged heavy metal and rap. And they came out with the song Bring the Noise. Dude, still to this day, so damn relevant to see something like that happen. And it's still a song when it comes on. I got to get up and dance and slam into the walls because it just brings back so much emotion from those days. Even when we were saying, oh, we don't like the hip hop guys or we don't like the metal guys, this here brought everybody together.
Yeah, and you know, just the same as with the emotional charge in the songs that you can't stand, it's the ones that you just like love and obsess over. Like it's just like you said, like a beautiful expression into your own what's happening. And I think, yeah, I maybe I need to send you more songs, Gary, if you're not connecting to enough of them, because there's a lot of beautiful ones that are being created.
Yeah, I don't mind listening. Like I say, it's just lately, I just think the emotion fell out of a lot of these mainstream bands. I'm finding like a couple of them that I actually resonate with, and there's very few of them, but it's just the past 10 years, music just lost its soul, and I'm blaming the music industry. I think the direction that these bands are trying to go into because they're saying, oh, well, it's going to sell an album. I don't think music ever should be trying to sell an album. Obviously, you want to become famous, but I think you really just need to concentrate really on the music more than the direction the music wants to take you in, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, exactly. You're supposed to create something because you want to create it. And then you share it with the world because the people who connect with it are going to love it and the people who aren't are going to move on. And as you go on creating, like, okay, sure, maybe some people get famous, maybe not. But honestly, in the new world, I don't really think people are going to get famous like they used to. I really think it's going to be the smaller influencer. It's going to be more local people. I think the world's going to get bigger and smaller at the same time. And I think that more people will come out with really, really beautiful things, more opportunity to connect with it. But in order to do that, people really need to let go of hating things. You know,
Well,
just
yeah.
reroute a little.
Yeah, I think that's a big key to all of this. It's just, sit down and listen to things. Listen to things you don't normally listen to. You'll find that there's a lot of similarity across all music genres. They all have their roots going way back, and we just kept expanding. It's almost like the universe. Like it started with that big bang and it just expanded. So we started with a sound, and then we turned it into notes, and then we turned it into chords, and we built music, and then there's music theory, and it just kept expanding, and different genres just kept coming out of it. So, in the grand scheme of things, when we bring it all back, they're all related. Everything's all related, and that's the wonder of music. And even sometimes I wish I could play music on here, but again, then there's always copyrights, and then you get in trouble, and they take your podcast down and all that. So we can't even have like music playing in the background. And I would always love that. Something that would drive the theme of us, like a theme song for us. It's fantastic. And of course I could do it if I pay for the license, but I don't want to pay for anything. That's the problem.
Oh, maybe we need to get somebody to write us a theme song.
We could reach out to the audience, and I tell you, if there are any musicians out there just want to get your sound out there, yeah, write us a theme song or just write some music that we could have to play at the beginning. I'll definitely do that for you. If it's kind of an exchange of energy right there. Not a bad idea.
Um, okay, on the topic of music, but just like a little bit off. We were talking about marinating the other day. I went and I bought a marinade. I'm gonna marinate some tofu, and I'm so excited about it. But in connection to music, I think music is one of the best ways to marinate in a frequency. Over the last couple of years, I went through a phase. I'm just getting out of it kind of slowly over the last 6 months. But I just like only listened to happy, kind of affirmation-y, you know, thing. And that's kind of what I was doing was I was marinating in frequencies I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Because once you know a frequency, you can copy it. It exists in you. You know what I mean? And so if you get to know a frequency you've never experienced through a piece of art, and then you kind of marinate in it and it kind of sinks into all the little pores of your existence, it's like even without that piece of art, it exists as part of you now. And you can just kind of like bring that up. And definitely, I was way too limiting on myself, but I was like, I was doing a thing. It was important for my face. But I think that that is something that's still just so very powerful to just marinate in a frequency. And music is a good one to do because you can do it throughout your day. Whereas like art, you can marinate in a frequency, but then you got to stare at it,
Mhm.
like a painting, which is beautiful too, but you only have so much time for that. I'm a multitasker. I want to marinate while I'm living in the 3D world.
Yeah, I like that. And with the marinating, yeah, because I go through, days like that. I might have like 4 or 5 songs I'm only going to listen to, and only those 4 or 5 songs because in that moment I'm marinating in that. That's my marinate. And then it may be just one band or just one artist that I'm just going to sit and listen to all day, and nobody else because I'm marinating because whatever frequency that I'm on is matching that. And so yeah, and we come out nice and tasty afterwards.
Exactly. I think I drive my daughter crazy because I'll pick, like 10 to 20 songs at a time and I just kind of play those songs for a while. Like probably too much. And if it's not the groove that she's on, then that can get pretty annoying. But I see now that that's what I was doing was I was just marinating in the frequencies.
Well, we hope everybody else marinates beautifully as well. I know everybody probably has so much to say about music and their favorite bands, their favorite songs, favorite memories we have from a certain song or a band or a group or a certain concert we went to. Those stories could go on and on and on. So allow them to open up your heart, open up your mind to these things, allow it to alchemize, let it take over, bring back those beautiful memories, bring back all those beautiful moments that you've had. Put on those songs, get those playlists going, turn that radio up. If it's too loud, you're too old, let's go and rock. So I hope everybody enjoyed this little music episode. We definitely enjoy having you here. I hope this here broke up the sequence of all of the spiritual stuff, but we put it into a different light for you, which is what we're trying to do to keep things exciting rather than just mundane all the time. So be ready because we got some other episodes that are going to be coming up that are going to be just kind of like this, where we're going to go off track a little bit, and we're really going to start expanding what we talk about here. Lizzie and I, we're prepared for it. But we want to thank you again for listening. We really enjoy having you. And I enjoy having you, Lizzie. Thank you for coming on and bringing up the subject.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. You have a great one. And everybody, be blessed, be healthy, and stay safe.